How are you guys doing today? So we're going to do our weekly review of DCS. Let's go over last week's matches. We're going to have Cork on around 7:15 to talk about a couple things. I wrote down a couple questions to ask him. But for now, we're just going to do what we did last week, go over last week's matches, go over the schedule for next week, and I got a couple talking points. So as you can see, Team Copel over Team Vloneflex. Copel remains a mystery card in the power rankings, in my opinion. It's very hard to tell, their team captain, Copel himself, just, goes off so hard, and Zenkis, who I believe was their third round pick, is playing so good. He's taking 3 or 4 stocks every time he comes in. So they're able to keep up with some teams that might have stronger lineups than them. And in this case, they're able to win over Vloneflex. On the other side, we have the raise of a new team to watch out for, which is Team Slam Shady, taking down Team Tom. Team Tom losing each week another team is caught up to them. They've gone 1-1. But Team Cork caught up to them last week, and Team Slam Shady catches up to them this week. So their time at the top is looking a little scary here. Then we got Team Cork versus Team Pickmans. Another loss for Pickmans. Kind of tough one. Cork is just such a monster. Yeah, this one was rough. They only took 8 stocks between their team. That's a tough match. That was probably the most dominant win we've had so far. On the other side, Team Lioness gets their first win against Team Perry, one of the other, what most would consider a top team in the league. So that's pretty incredible for Lioness's first win to be against one of the best teams. Pretty crazy. Keeping Team Perry from being able to reach that top spot. We'll go over the standings in a couple minutes. Team Slam gets their second win against Team Copel. I already talked about them a little bit. Team Tom wins over Team Vloneflex, giving Vloneflex an 0-2 weekend. Tough for them, but they had a lot of subs, so we'll see if they can bounce back next week. They missing a lot of their team. It's pretty tough to recover from that. Team Perrymaster beats Team Quark, this social distance demons classic here. Perrymaster comes out with the win. I did a piece of content this week about this specific match. I did a breakdown of how Team Perrymaster beat Team Cork, talking about counter picks, and also went over Team Vloneflex versus Team Tom and how their counter picks didn't work out for Team Vloneflex, but did for Team Perrymaster. And then last game of the day, Team Lioness getting their second win against Team Pickmans. Again, rough week for Team Pickmans. That's a tough week, going 0-2, getting just blown up by Team Cork and maybe losing steam against Team Lioness there. Then we'll go on to next week. We got Team Tom versus Copel. Team Slam versus Team Pickmans. Oh yeah, Pickman's schedule this week does not let up either. They went 0-2 last week, and then they play against 2 of the number 1 teams right now with Team Slam and Team Tom. It's gonna be a tough weekend for them. They better be ready. And then we got Perrymaster versus Vloneflex. This is an interesting matchup because it is 2 Game & Watches on Team Vloneflex versus Perrymaster, the man born hating Game & Watch. Then we've got Team Cork versus Team Lioness. I'm interested to see this, just to see if Team Lioness gets the upset here. It will be one of the bottom team rising up from the top and taking over one of the top 2 teams in the league. That'll be crazy. And then we have a big match here. Team Slam versus Team Cork. These 2 are both at the top of the standings and will probably come into this still tied, and this will basically be a tiebreaker for them. These 2 teams. This is going to be crazy. Team Tom and Pickmans. Already talked about that one. Perry and Copel. And then Vloneflex and Lioness. This one is also interesting because if Lioness loses this and if Vlone loses to Perrymaster, these guys will also be tied coming into the second round robin. I forgot to mention, these matches here are all the start of the second round robin. So this might be like a fighting out of the bottom type match here.
How do I sound?
You sound great.
All right.
We're going 8-0 for the rest of the season, says the Bows. Yeah, we'll see about that. do some work there. But anyway,
well, 7-1. I mean,
yeah. After your match with Cork, maybe you can go 7-1.
Our
right?
match. Yeah.
So I wrote down a couple questions to ask you, and then I'll give you a little time if you want to talk about anything at the end. My first one: how have you felt about your team's performance so far in the draft?
It's been pretty good, honestly, for the most part. We've had like some rough attendance issues.
Yeah, with certain bow tie French fry.
I think once we like sort of get that organized, it'll be a little bit smoother. Definitely cost us our first game though.
Yeah. The one because we were scrambling that day. Because we didn't it's the first day. We didn't really have a system yet or anything, and then he's just MIA. So yeah.
I can't believe Robin was the matchup that none of us wanted to go in for. That just.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, that's what broke the team.
It's the only thing holding you back from having a flawless record. Oh wait, no, because Perry just beat you guys too. Yeah, we don't have to talk about that. I've already directed the people. They can go check out the YouTube video that I made about that matchup. Have you guys been doing anything together to help improve your performance as a crew?
They've all been
exclusive friendlies, or doing match reviews together, anything like that.
Oh yeah, they're very active there, actually, playing each other, which is nice.
Yeah, I know Drewish has kind of been on the Wi-Fi grind recently.
Mm-hmm.
I see some people in their team chats every once in a while, and I hope everybody, it brings people together. You know what I mean? Because you now have a reason to practice with these people that you wouldn't otherwise. And so I hope the team captains aren't just neglecting the lower skilled players on their team. Did you get a chance to look at the schedule? How do you feel about your matches for next week with Lioness and Slam Shady?
Linus and Slam Shady. Okay, I actually don't know the lineups on their teams. Let me check that, so that I'm not just Linus. Okay, Kevy's gonna sweep us. Bows. I have no idea what a Bowser Jr. matchup chart looks like.
He's been going Min a lot in his crew battles, though.
Fuck. Okay, so we'll be 4-3 after that one.
Dang.
Min and Incineroar, we're just done.
Yeah, that I mean, I know RFX just beat Vlomflex this weekend at SDD, and I know you and Vlomflex aren't the same, but I know that Min is pretty good against Game & Watch. She has some tools to make that matchup a little tougher.
I'm joking a little. I think that matchup itself is actually very even or Game & Watch favored.
Okay.
She's really weird because she's a sortie but not a sortie.
Mm-hmm.
A sortie but a zoner sortie.
Mm-hmm.
A zoner with fists for swords.
Yeah.
Or fist projectiles. It's super weird. I don't know how to describe the matchup at all.
But yeah, the Bows himself has been going off in these matchups. I don't know if you've seen, but he's averaging I think 2 weeks ago he took 6 in both. And then
wow.
Last week he only took 5, but I think he was the anchor in both games. So he's been carrying this team pretty hard. And Kevy,
yeah, it sounds like it.
Kevy has been, he went me Gunner last weekend and was really successful with that.
Such a toxic lineup.
Yeah, me Gunner / Incineroar, and then a Min / Bowser Jr., a hero.
I know they can all hear me right now, but
and then beamed right at the end there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna game off him with my Incineroar, so.
Team Slam Shady. So this is the match that I'm most looking forward to this weekend because you guys are tied in the standings right now. How do you feel about them?
Hold on, didn't I play Kovu in another crew battle? Was he a sub?
No, I haven't let anybody cross sub for any teams yet.
Could have sworn I've played Kovu before.
Let's double check the schedule and make sure you guys haven't already played. Or is this the... Oh, okay. This is the second round robin, so you can play teams again.
I was about to say, yeah, I was actually spiking me the last time we played.
Yeah. I was worried for a second. I was like, oh no, did we mess up?
Yeah, I was like...
But yeah, this is the beginning of the second round robin. You guys, Team Slam versus Team Korg.
Okay. Oh, that's right. It's Zora High Inspection. Yeah, we played all of them. Not Colm, actually. That's interesting. Colm wasn't there the other time.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be a really... Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Last weekend was his first time appearing for the team, and they went 2-0.
Yeah, he's a round 1 pick, I think. That's like really
Yeah, it definitely changes
Yeah.
their team dynamic a lot.
on the plus side. Game & Watch +2s 3 of these characters.
I think this will be a pretty close one because power-wise, I think this is definitely a really good matchup. Like, between Column and Kovu and you and Druish, I feel like is a pretty even amount of strength, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say any more because I think I've already said enough to
Yeah,
where
yeah,
like
you
if
don't
we
want to
get
reveal
swept-
anything?
If we get swept, like it'll look pretty silly.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Um,
My last question for the week is who are the top 2 other crews in your mind? When you're looking at the other crews, who are you the most worried about playing against or trying to outplace?
Tomlet's team's right there.
Mm-hmm.
So did you just say 2 other teams?
Yeah. What are your top 2 other teams? So if we had like
Okay,
a top 3, because you'd put your own team in the top 3, of course.
Yeah, number 1. Colm's team is still a bit of a wild card right now,
Mm-hmm.
just because like we don't know how Colm plays. I know he's a very offline player. Actually I played him once at a local.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was just very solid. Like his play was a lot like it. You could just tell from the way he played. He kind of knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got
Yeah.
the impression that he was a very strong player offline. So I'm not really sure how he plays online too much.
I
Yeah, and
can
that was
tell you that he dropped Falco for online for Rob, and his Rob
Right.
looks very nice.
That's what I was about to say too. Like I don't know what his Rob looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Very very different characters.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just gonna like have their team as like a 4th, like
Okay.
not in the top 3, but purely because like he's a wild card right now. We don't really know how.
Yeah, you
Or
haven't
I had
established
heard-
them in your mind.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect.
Okay.
And then after that, it'd be like Hawks or Tomlet's team and Perry's team.
Okay, and Perry's team. Yeah, Perry's team dropped a set the last weekend, but I was expecting them to be one of the top teams as well. But there's still a lot more matches to play out. But I do think that Perry's in like the top 4 teams. I think that's a pretty good assessment.
I'll also say I'm honestly shocked that J James got all the way to Team 6.
Yeah,
I think that's genuinely the best player out of the entire crew thing.
I've said that on stream a couple times, and I think, like, obviously people just didn't know, but I tried to let people know. Like, I told them at the beginning of the draft, like, hey, this kid's nuts. And in the draft order, I think I put him below Hawk. He was the only player that I put below Hawk. Or, like, in second, yeah.
I could definitely see like Hawk being better because that's a PR player, obviously.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't know how much or little
like-
his online affects PR players, so.
Right, and I guess like you could also say like, oh, Hawk's an offline player, and then J James is like a young Link.
Uh-huh.
So like that bridges the gap a little bit there.
Yeah.
But like just the way he plays, and his internet connection's extremely good. Like so, there's like only the bare minimum amount of delay. I remember the first time I played him, he just caught me off guard so hard. Definitely one of the strongest young Links I've ever played. Could for free be like a top player in Michigan if he just like didn't live in the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah. I've talked about this on stream too, that if there's like a big tournament next year and he wants to come, I would pay for his gas money. I would fund him just to see how good he can do, because I really believe in him.
Like, I thought I knew all the good players in Michigan, and then I go into friendlies chat, and they're just, oh, this player who I have had significantly more trouble playing J James than like PR players in the state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That gives you an idea of like how much like I just think he's like just so good.
That's all I had for you. You got anything to say to the people before we end the stream here?
What are the standings looking like right now?
All right, yeah, we'll go over the standings really quick for you.
Yeah.
So we've got Cork placed number 1, tied with Team Slam, who just came off of a 2-0 weekend, and Team
That's
Tom,
right.
4-2. Team Tom has been these other 2 teams, Team Cork and Team Slam, have caught up to them. Team Tom was the first number 1 team, but they've just gone 1-1 each week since then. And then we've got Team Copel and Team Perry in the middle, 3-3. And like I said, I expect Perrymaster to end up in this area at the end of the week, or at the end of the season.
How many seasons is it?
Or there's 7 weeks of games, and then we're gonna have a playoffs. And the playoffs is only the top 6 teams make it.
Okay. It's really interesting just seeing like 2 teams went 2-0.
Yeah, only 2 teams went 2-0 this weekend. The real difference maker was that Kevy in his first 2 weeks had only taken, I think, 5 stocks between 4 games or something like that. And then this weekend he took 5 in both games, or something equivalent. Like, Kevy showed up to play this weekend. That was
Yeah.
definitely the difference maker for them.
Okay, so Kevy's on Team Linus, right?
Oh,
wait,
yeah,
is Kevy on?
No, yeah, Kevy's
Okay.
on Team Lioness.
Okay, so that's like, it's just interesting seeing how like only 2 teams like went up, and then everyone else just went down.
Yeah, it's because so much of the bracket has been tied for so long. Like, the first week, only Team Tom went 2-0, and everyone else except for Team Lioness went 1-1. And then after the second week, only you guys went 2-0, and I think every other team stayed the same. So, like, you and Tomlet were tied at the top, and then every other team was tied in the middle, and then Linus was at the bottom again. So that's why, like, everything is so close. Even our 6th place teams right now are only 2 wins away from tying, you know, the 1st place teams. That, like, this is an incredibly tight bracket.
Yeah, it's neck and neck right now.
Alright, Cork, it was nice to have you on. Say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.
Alright.
Looking forward to our games together. Have a great night.
Did a little breakdown of the stats so far, and how hard is your team captain carrying your team? After 3 weeks, here is the average stocks taken per appearance for all 8 team captains. So we have Cork, who you just heard from, an absolute monster, taking 5 stocks per appearance. And Copel, almost the same. Copel, definitely one of the big reasons why Team Copel is doing so good, taking an average of 4 stocks per appearance. Tom doing pretty good for his team. He had that one huge MVP weekend where he got 8, average of 3.5, 3.67 stocks per appearance. Pickmans and Vlones doing pretty good for their team, 3.5 each. Perrymaster, 3. Lioness and Slam, looking a little sus down here. Now, Lioness is a little low because they often use him as an anchor, and so he's only coming in right at the end and then, like, loses to his brother or something. So it's been a little tough for him to pad his stats. But Slam, I think if you've watched the streams, you know why Slam's score is a little low, because he's cracking open a couple of natties every weekend, and that might affect his playstyle a little bit. Okay, everybody. DCS, every Saturday at 1 p.m. we play games. It looks like we're going to need a lot of subs this weekend, so if you got friends, if you want to play, help out one of these teams, we are going to need people. Because I think I've already seen 3 people that aren't going to be able to play, and all 3 of our regular subs aren't going to be available. So, it might be a little rough this weekend. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, be there at 1 p.m. Saturday for the matches. Check out some of my other content. I've been releasing top 5 videos, breakdown about counterpicking that I think is really good. You should show it to your team captains if they aren't active, or watch it and use that information to help your team captains pick better counter picks. And then also I release top 5 plays every week. You might be featured in it if you play in DCS. I hope you guys found this interesting. We will do this again next week. And like I said, tune into the games Saturday at 1 p.m. starting with Team Tom versus Team Copel and Team Slam versus Team Pickmans. Anyway, y'all have a good night now.